आंशु कुमार जी। Thank you. Now, Sumit.
So thank you all. We'd request Manish Gadia here to please take for charge for the next session. Thank you. এটা ল্যাপটপটা চালু করুন। লাগবে না শুধু প্রোফাইলটা দেখবে। अरे चालू करो ना ये है ना भैया, आप हुक्म कीजिए बस। नहीं भैया, इजी नहीं होता ये पढ़ने में वो है। ये देखिए भैया, ये रहा। अभी आपका कौन है?
मेरा तो वसंत चिताले जी है, चंद्रशेखर वसंत चिताले। इनके बाद नहीं, हाँ ये पहले चला गया।
आपके में एक एम है ना?
हाँ ये है
और ये
हाँ बस
ठीक है भैया। तो एक ऊपर नीचे है, ये ऊपर नीचे आप कर लीजिएगा इसमें।
Good afternoon, friends. Now we are going to start our second session of today's fourth annual seminar. So I would like to invite our conference co-chairman CA Gaurav Moore. Please come on the dais. Next, CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta ji. Please come on the dais. Next, our today's session chairman CA Ashoke Maheswari ji. Please come on the dais. And our today's special guest CA Chandrashekhar Vasant Chitale ji. He is the Direct Tax Committee Chairman of ICAI and he is the Central Council member also. So please come on the dais. Okay. So, I would like to invite CA Vasant Chitale ji. He is Chairman of Direct Tax Committee, ICAI. Now, I would like to introduce our special guest speaker, Chandrashekhar Vasant Chitale ji. He is the practicing chartered accountant in direct tax, corporate advisory, legal drafting and conveyancing and mediation. He is elected member of ICAI in Central Council for last 3 consecutive terms from 2019 to 22, 22 to 25 and 25 to 29. He is the chairman of Direct Tax Committee, ICAI, vice chairman, Tax Audit Quality Review Board. He is the former chairman of several key ICAI board, including ethical standard, peer review, internal audit standard, and corporate law and governance. He has played a pivotal role in revising the guidance note on tax audit and strengthening the professional standard. He is the author, speaker, and thought leader with contribution to leading professional and business publications. He is widely respected for his contribution for taxation professionals, ethics, policy development, and accounting professions. So now I would like to invite C.S. Suman Chaudhary ji to offer him a flower bouquet and uttarayo. Now I would like to introduce our today's session chairman, CA Ashoke Maheswari ji. CA Ashoke Maheswari ji is a rank holder in both intermediate and CA final exam with over 40 years of professional experience. He is expert in corporate taxation, audit and assurance, valuation business, reorganization and corporate advisory. He has assisted clients in merger, acquisitions, takeover and company law matters. He has extensive audit experience across diverse sectors including FMCG, real estate, software, chemical and NBFCs. He has been invited by the Ministry of Finance, Government of India to train income tax officers on financial statement analysis. He has been former president of BBD Professional Association. He has been actively involved in charitable initiatives focused on education, healthcare and community welfare. So please give him a big round of applause. Now I would like to invite CA Pradeep Maheswari ji to offer flower bouquet and uttarayo to our today's session chairman, Ashoke Maheswari ji. Now I would like to invite our today's guest speaker, CA Rakesh Kumar, Dr. Rakesh Kumar Gupta. He is a accomplished academician, securing university first rank in both graduation and LLB. He holds multiple professional qualification FCA, FCS, ICWA, MBA, LLB, LM, and PhD. He has been appointed as member Income Tax Appellate Tribunal at the age of 37. He is renowned tax litigation expert, regularly appearing before ITAT, High Court, and Supreme Court. He has co-authored of 3 acclaimed tax law books published by Taxmon. He has argued several landmark and high-profile tax cases with significant national impact. He has participated in the United Nations Committee of Experts on International Cooperation in Tax Law Matters. He is member of International Association of Tax Judges. He has been invited as a speaker at international forums, including programs in Abu Dhabi and Bahrain. He is widely recognized for expertise in direct taxation, international taxation, and tax litigation and regulatory advisory. So please give him big round of applause. Now I would like to invite CA Giriraj Jhanwar to offer a floor bouquet and uttarayo. So now I would like to hand over the proceedings to our chairman of the session, CA Ashoke Maheswari ji.
Friends, today we have got at the very beginning the excellent deliberation of AI. Now we are coming to our taxation portion, direct tax. Friends, today we'll be discussing the search and seizure and block assessment under the 2025 Income Tax Act. Friends, when this 2025 Act came, it was widely publicized that there is no major changes. It was said that nothing new has been done, only it has been written in a simplified manner. But friends, I can tell, so far search and seizure provisions are concerned, there is a huge change, and practically, had it been a normal situation, had it come in through a finance bill which is properly says as a budget, it would have drawn the attention of our citizen of the country. Practically, you will see that all the entire search and seizure provisions has now taken care that there is no privacy left with the citizen. Your email, your social platforms, your digital data, everything is now with the government. You are required to share the password, access code, just like when a search takes place, if the godown is closed, they can break open the godown and enter the premises. Like that, if you don't share your password, access code, department is authorized to take care, even to replace the password with their password. So what will happen? Parallelly, all your personal informations, whatever chat you had with your family members, with your wife or anybody, now the department has got the access. So this is a complete breach of privacy. And now, what are the checks and balances? We don't know. Till date, no SOP practically has come. Now, we have seen our practical life, practice of last 40 years, when a search and seizure takes place and the department does not find any material thing, they start some other way of extracting disclosures. And in this case, I don't know after this act what will happen. Because very private, sensitive information, which is very emotional, and the SSC may be in trouble. Now our speaker, Dr. Gupta sir, is very veteran. He knows the entire integrity of the search and seizure procedure. He will be there to deliberate upon this. Now we are very fortunate that we have with us Sri Chitale Sahab. He is a special guest. He will deliver a speech on this search and seizure under the 2025 Act. Now I invite Sri Chitale Sahab to kindly address the question.
Good afternoon, members of this BBD Professional Association, Honorable President and my colleague on council, CA. As far as DAS is concerned, Honorable Chairman Ashoke Maheswari ji, another co-chairman CA Gaurav Morji, the speaker for this particular session CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta, moderator Manish Gadia, and all of you ladies and gentlepersons. As far as speech is concerned, we have already a speaker for this purpose, so I will not be delivering speech on the topic as such. But then, as has been observed by the chairman, it's indeed that in each interview, the department has said that, okay, there is no change in the act but for language, but not so as far as the provisions relating to search and seizure is concerned. As you are aware, as far as survey is concerned, even in survey there is a change, that earlier there was no express authority for the purpose of recording a statement, but now the assessing officer can also, or the party coming for the survey can also record a statement. A question was asked that, okay, you have given authority to record the statement, but what about the protection which was there in the earlier era, that you will not force the declaration, but they said that that particular protection will come in the SOP. And as chairman has observed, that SOP is yet to come. As far as search provisions is concerned, it has made a significant departure from earlier provisions in a sense. Now taking a cognizance of digital era, several provisions have been made, including the definition of virtual digital asset, which includes our computer systems, even cloud storage and internet, WhatsApp, everywhere. So we have to be more cautious. As far as the authority to search is concerned, there they have also included, besides assets, not only books of accounts, computer, system, etc. And whosoever is in control of those systems. So we have to be very careful, because if the search takes place and a client answers that where are your books of account, वो हमारे CA के पास पड़े हैं, so I think the search party can come to you also, because the books of account, the person having control of the books of account is also a problem. And that has been covered in this particular thing. As far as statement is concerned, the statement can be taken by any person who is on that particular place of the search. He is about to enter, he is exiting. So all those things they have covered. And as far as seizure is concerned, maybe stock in trade cannot be seized, but if you notice that the computer system can be certainly seized. So here, as a professional, also we will have to take care, because in search party, whenever arrives at the scene, the clients play a very innocent role. They said that हमको कुछ पता नहीं है, सब हमारे वकील ने किया है, CA ने किया है. So then you also can be, the search can be extended to your place, because where are the books of account? He will say it is at my tax consultant's end, and then the tax consultant also becomes vulnerable, because his computer system where the books of account are appearing or they are stored, they also will be subject to maybe investigation. And although the stock in trade cannot be seized, the computer can be seized, because it is not a stock in trade. So maybe the chartered accountant's functioning also may get paralyzed for a considerable time. So we have to think of various devices like cloud storage, so that even if the hard disk goes, at least your functioning is not paralyzed. Another thing, like DPDP Act, which was discussed in earlier session also, the DPDP Act has cast onerous responsibilities on the professionals as well. Many a times, WhatsApp पे आता है, sir, 2 लाख से stock कम दिखाए तो ठीक है क्या? We say okay, or we say smiley. That also is an information. And if whatever the consequences client may face, it is his fate, but also as an accompliance, the professional also will be booked. Because everything like WhatsApp, mails, everything is going to be under the scanner of the government. And the government has not remained a decade ago's government. Today, they are much digitally progressed. If you look at various podcasts, various things which have been come from income tax department, certainly they are much advanced as far as this information technology is concerned. Tax audit, income tax returns. Let me tell you, earlier the officers used to manually verify them, and this manual verification left certain errors, omissions. But now these things are also examined through artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence does not leave any stone unturned. Therefore, one will have to be more careful with the department also, and they are working on a system of exceptions that depending upon what income is reported, what expenses are there, everything is logged in by the income tax department. When you travel by flight, various expenses are incurred, purchase of car, maybe a property, everything the department knows. So they are working on disproportionate reporting of income, availability of assets. And these are the things which give rise to the action like search, survey, seizure. And then whatever follows is the block assessment. Now we are aware that from 1st April 2026, the era has changed. In the subsequent era, it would be this Income Tax Act 2025 will operate. In earlier era, 1961 Act will operate. So it would be really both the acts will run parallelly. In a sense, if the search takes place and one has to go 5-6 years behind, maybe some assessments would be under earlier law, some assessment may be under later law. So all those nuances one will have to understand. Earlier session, we had AI. And there is a celebrated sentence that everybody says, that the AI will not replace the professional, but professional knowing AI will replace the professionals not knowing AI. Let me tell you that AI, we discussed that it hallucinates. But human beings also hallucinates, because this statement also is not 100% correct. Because if you know that as far as AI is concerned, it is going to 90% plus accuracy. As far as speed is concerned, it saves your more than 50% times. Certainly, the days of the professionals would also be numbered, because it won't take much time for the purpose of AI to perfection it. Because if you can read, say, 100 pages a day, maybe 1,00,000 pages a day can be read by the artificial intelligence. So if the artificial intelligence matures, and it will mature, maybe if not in 5 days, but at least in 5 years, it will mature. So once it matures, it would be in a better position to maybe respond to any queries. Today also, in case of surgery, heart surgery, maybe heart surgery is also performed through AI, and they are performing it better than the doctors. So same thing is going to come. But then as far as advisory, etc. is concerned, appeal argument is concerned, we believe that yes, we are the masters. But maybe tomorrow, AI also can be master. So maybe the war would be AI of a client versus, or the assessor versus AI of the income tax department. And maybe there we will have to say which AI wins. So it is not that the AI will not be able to replace a chartered accountant or any professional in years to come. It will happen. Of course, the mankind is versatile. So it is not that it will be end of the era. If it does that, maybe still for some reasons, the human beings' intervention would be necessary. But then it is high time that we are not left behind as far as the use of these tools are concerned, the use of AI is concerned. One should be aware of it. Fortunately, in the era of search and seizure, till now, robots are not coming from income tax department for the purpose of search and seizure. Because if they come, without you talking anything, they will be able to read whatever is there in the hard disk, etc. Maybe in days to come, that also may happen. In the intervening period, what they have said, as informed by chairman, that whenever the search party comes, whosoever is having control of the computer, documents, etc., they are expected to cooperate with the income tax department, tell them passwords, tell them how technically assist them. So all those things are there. So this departure from the 1961 Act to 2025 Act, it would be of great interest to learn. Also, the assessments following this particular search what are the differences, and I think we are very fortunate to have an expert speaker to explain all these things. So I really thank Sanjeev Bhai for inviting such a speaker, and the audience will get certainly benefited with his speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Chitale Sahab, for giving your thoughtful deliberation. Now, I request Dr. CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta, guest speaker, to deliver his speech.
Now, in the earlier session, we discussed about the artificial intelligence. Now, since this is case of search, so the real intelligence comes. Now, one thing which I liked, when Paras Kochar sir and everybody was speaking Radhe Radhe. Since I come from Vrindavan, now this greeting and this salutation, was very refreshing to me. Now, the earlier session was, the theme of this AI and networking. I remember about 40 years back, I was 21 years old when I started my practice. This word networking was not there. It may be there, but then since I am a person who is coming from a rural background, was not knowing it. Now, a rustic, seasoned villager met me and he said, राकेश जी, सुना है प्रैक्टिस शुरू करने जा रहे हो, हमारी 3 बातें याद रखना. हमारे रेस्पेक्ट अग्रवाल साहब बैठे हैं. And I tell you those 3 things which that villager, seasoned villager shared with me, they are the biggest asset of my life. The first thing which he said, कि तेल में और मेल में कसर मत छोड़ना. मैंने कहा जी इसका क्या मतलब? बोले पेट्रोल की परवाह मत करना लोगों से मिलने में. नेटवर्किंग. Now that has come to be rephrased as networking nowadays in the modern. तेल में और मेल में कसर मत छोड़ना. दूसरी बात उन्होंने कही कि राकेश बाबू नाम पैदा करना, नामा तो अपने आप आएगा. देखिए मतलब अनुभव की कितनी. और तीसरी बात जो उन्होंने कही कि जब तक दुनिया सो के उठे तुम्हारा दिन पूरा होना चाहिए. अर्ली राइजिंग. Now, these are the biggest 3 things as assets of mine, and which has really benefited me a lot in my professional life. Anyway, nothing is permanent. In our business organization management, CA Inter, there was one topic that nothing is permanent except change. Our Income Tax Act is also not an exception to it. They have changed it completely. Though ostensibly they have said that we are on policy front, we are not changing anything. But as Maheswari sir and Chitale sir have just mentioned, that behind this kind of a disguise that they are not changing any, they are not making any policy change, still they inserted something. But they inserted something in order to cope with the changing technological requirements. After all, these are the investigation proceedings, and their objective is to determine the true and correct income. Therefore, as a citizen, since as a citizen also I am a stakeholder in the national wealth, in the national exchequer, therefore, I should not feel offended to that extent. Except, of course, when the breach of privacy is concerned, to that extent I am all right. But then the rest of the things, the sharing of the password and all, this was there in a different form earlier also. There used to be prosecution on account of you not sharing the password. So you were under an obligation earlier also to facilitate the inspection of books of accounts, and that facilitation of the books of accounts included that you will part with the password, because of which only it can be said that you have facilitated. Anyway, so search and seizure is a serious invasion on the fundamental rights, and often this is asked if at all such kind of a power should be vested in the state in any civilized society. This has always engaged the attention of the courts. I remember when this question was raised before the Supreme Court in Puranmal's case, in 93 ITR, much water has flown. Now we are in the era of 475, 480 ITR. 93 ITR. I mean, very old case. When this case was argued before Supreme Court in Puranmal's, this was sought to be impressed upon their lordships. Sir, it is a serious invasion of the fundamental rights of the citizen. It is a very unpleasant experience for a person who undergoes it. And it should not exist in any civilized world. The courts started being impressed, but then came the response from the union. Sir, how can we remain oblivious to widespread practices of tax evasion? We are in the stage of evolution. And therefore, existence of such kind of an extreme power vested in the state is essential, but with certain checks and balances. So even if this kind of an extreme power is vested in the state, but then on the other side the checks and balances are built into the system, then there should not be any grudge on the part of the taxpayers to feel aggrieved because of the existence of such kind of an extreme power. Because we have developed, they said, the union said, that we have provided the adequate safety valves in the system. And when those safety valves, which were earlier there under section 132(1), and now under section 246 of 2025 Act, then the court said, okay, with these kind of riders, we uphold the constitutional validity of such extreme power which is vested in the state to search a person. But anyway, today, I have not come with this. In fact, I have suffered thrice on account of it, because when in your professional practice, when you start dealing the sensitive cases, then you also, as Maheswari sir said, then you also become subject matter at times for such kind of incisive actions. But then fortunately, the very first action which the department took against me, I mean, that gave birth to a book on search and seizure. So I am not a loser. I gained experience which I put into writing for. And when my clients tell me nowadays कि सर हमारी सर्च के बाद हम एडिशनल DI से मिलने गए, वो तो आप ही किताब पढ़ रहा था. But as an author, when you write, I mean, you have to be balanced in your writing, and you cannot be lopsided in your approach. But anyway, so आज मैं जो सोच कर आया था कि मैं सर्च पर नहीं बोलूंगा, सर्च के कॉन्सिक्वेंस पर बोलूंगा. सर्च का कॉन्सिक्वेंस इज द ब्लॉक असेसमेंट. द ब्लॉक असेसमेंट, it may be a black assessment in the past, but now it has been made quite softer. I do not know what has gone into the mind of late. There are series of steps under the income tax now which shows that some moderation is coming. Whether you take it from prosecution's perspective, whether you see it from reduction of that tax rate of 78% now 39% under section 195 or 195. Then under the block assessment, I mean, there is a much softer penalties. There is immunity from penalty. When penalty is not there, then obviously the prosecutions also may not be there. So I thought that today I'll share with my thoughts on block assessment. So if my chairman permits, I can speak on search also, but then block assessment, I just wanted to share. The sum and substance of the block assessment is that if there is a search, I am not using the parallel expression acquisition. If there is a search on or after 1st of April 2026 under 2025 Act, but in 1961 Act from 1st of September 2024. Then the assessment has to be made for the block period in respect of undisclosed income. And that undisclosed income has to suffer the tax at 60%. This is the sum and substance of the block assessment. So, first of all, there has to be search. The existence of a search is a sine qua non. So, we are proceeding from this stage that the search has taken place. Then the question comes, the moment the search takes place, then you have to determine a block period. Now, in fact, this concept of block period was there from 1995 till 2003. And since the things started settling down, and the framers of law, they are more known for unsettling the settled things, so they thought, okay, that let us go to a new scheme of assessment. Then they devised 153A, 153B and 153C, and one more 153D, जो अब उनके गले की फांस बना हुआ है. But then from 2003 till 2021, 18 years have gone, it's a long period. Why should that system be allowed to continue? So they discontinued that. Then 148, 147 used to take care of the search assessments. But then that hardly lived for 3.5 years almost. Then from 1/9/2024, again we were back to the square one, which we started in 1995, the block assessment, with some changes, of course some changes, because the changes are not there. Then how will we become prosperous? I always say, sir, that I owe my prosperity, because of the existence of the tax department. And if I may not be recorded, then I can say because of their ignorance, because their ignorance is a bliss. Their ignorance is a bliss. So I have earned my prosperity, and so must have you also, because of the ignorance on their part. And their ignorance is as a result of such frequent changes which they themselves make. They become the victim of their own changes. But anyway, be that as it may, their ignorance is our bliss. So, block period. Now the block period earlier preceding 6 years. Rather at that time initially preceding 10 years. Then from probably 2099 that was reduced to 6 years. Now this block period, it says preceding 6 years from the year in which the search was initiated, but then up to the period when the search was concluded. In earlier law, preceding 6 years and up to the date of initiation of search. But this time, they have made a provision of a block period to say preceding 6 years and the year in which the search was initiated, but up to the period when the search was concluded. So, largely it is 6 plus 1 year or year of conclusion of search. But then there may well be a situation when there will be preceding 6 years, but then if the initiation of search has taken place in one previous year, one tax year, and its conclusion has happened in another tax year, then in that case 6 plus 1, 1 means the year in which the search was initiated, being the full year, and then the next year in which the search was concluded till the time search was concluded. So in certain situations, when the year of initiation of search and the year of conclusion of search fall in different tax years, then it will be 6 plus 1 plus next. Then I thought, what was the reason? Because it is not coming out from anywhere. Agarwal sir, whether, are you, Gupta sir, are you aware or not? It is not coming out as to why this kind of a change has been made. So when nothing is coming out, then, you'll have to read it. Because somebody asked me, even in case of 147, 148, when the sea change was made, then reason to believe now was consigned into the dustbin of history. Reason to believe phrase, which had controlled the action of the departmental officers for so many years, right from 1922 Act in erstwhile Section 34, now on one fine morning from 1/4/2021, that was replaced by a different expressions. But then nothing was coming out as to what has gone into the mind of the framers of law. So when nothing is coming out, then you have to speculate. That was coming out. Why did they go in for a change, for reason to believe? ये जो पीछे हमारे मित्र खड़े हुए हैं, या तो बैठ जाएं, because when I speak to God, and it obstructs the free flow of my thoughts. मैं सुबह 3:30 बजे उठ के चला हूं दिल्ली से आने यहाँ के लिए. Please help me to meditate. सर बैठ जाइए. Yes. So, why the changes were made in 147, though that may not have the bearing, but then whenever such kind of changes are made, you may find the objective with which the change has been made. In case you are not able to decipher it, then you will have to make out from various things. So, why the change was made in 147? The change was made for the reason that whenever those reasons were recorded, in case of 147, and the validity of reopening was to be seen with reference to the reason, and our departmental officers were so quote unquote strong in writing those reasons that their action of the reopening used to fall because of the bad recording of reasons. So the legislature thought that let us give some objective criteria with reference to which those reasons may be tested or the reopening may be tested. So they gave one explanation, 1 to section 148. Those 5 parameters. So assessing officers need not to reduce them in writing. The appellate authority would see whether the case of an SSC falls in one of those 5 parameters. If it falls, is all right. So with one stroke, the legislature killed 2 birds. So they reduced the possibility of calling the action of reopening by the departmental officers in question, and then they have reduced the possibility of the assessments getting quashed on that score. Second, SSC also used to feel that this is somewhat subjective, though it was not subjective, it has to be based on objective consideration, but the SSCs always used to have this feeling that any assessing officer can record any reason and then can overreach to my assessment for reopening. So even the SSC also comes to know these are the grounds on which my case can be reopened. So with one stroke, the legislature has tried to pacify the 2 disturbing souls of an SSC as well as department. So similarly, in case of, I was on the aspect of block period. So I was on this aspect of preceding 6 years plus the year of search, but it is not up to the year of search, year up to the conclusion of search. But then it may be 6 plus 1 plus part of that year in which the search was concluded, or it may be, if the initiation and conclusion is the same financial year, then 6 plus up to the year of conclusion of search. The second thing, assessment of undisclosed income for the block period. So what is undisclosed income? Undisclosed income definition has been widened now to include any addition or disallowance to be made in assessment that would also be undisclosed income. I'm sorry, my notes. So, assessment of undisclosed income for the block period, now that has to be the sum and substance of this chapter. So, what is undisclosed income? That definition now has been given in an inclusive manner. That undisclosed income means any income which is represented by money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing, which has not been disclosed or would not be disclosed for the purposes of this act. And then, what has happened? It has gone blank in my mind. I am so sorry. My notes. I'm so sorry. Block assessment. I'm so sorry. My notes probably have. So the block period, of course, from the date of conclusion of search preceding 6 years plus the year of search up to the conclusion of search. But then undisclosed income includes any money, bullion, jewelry, virtual digital asset or other valuable article or thing or any expenditure or income based on an entry in the books of account, other documents or transaction, where such money, bullion, etc. would not have been disclosed, and it represents wholly or partly income which would not be disclosed, or any expense, exemption, deduction or allowance claimed under the Act which is found to be incorrect in respect of the block period. Now kindly see, the definition of undisclosed income now has been widened, and it has been widened to this extent that if any expense, exemption, deduction or allowance which is found to be incorrect. Earlier there used to be expressions false. So if any expense, exemption, deduction or allowance claimed under the Act which is found to be incorrect, that is also called, that is undisclosed income. So the definition of undisclosed income, earlier the expression used to be false, but now it has been mentioned that if it is found to be incorrect in respect of the block period. So even additions made in abated assessments or reassessment proceedings or latest year assessment would be undisclosed income. Anyway, so this undisclosed income assessment in the block period, for the block period, now is made under Chapter B of Chapter 16 of the Income Tax Act 2025. And what is the procedure? The procedure for block assessment is that the notice is to be issued for filing the block return, giving not more than 60 days. It may be having lesser than 60 days, but it cannot be more than 60 days. And Rule 180 and Form ITR number which has been given is BN. Now it would be treated as a return under section 263 and notice under section 270 subsection 8, which used to be parallel section 143, that shall be issued, and if beyond time it shall not be so treated. No notice under section 280 shall be issued. A revision of such return is not possible. So once the search takes place, the notice is issued for filing the block return, giving not more than 60 days. And now AO then thereafter to proceed to make assessment of undisclosed income under section 293 of 2025 Act and all those provisions, and on this undisclosed income which the assessing officer will determine, then order of assessment shall be passed, and the tax sale. And whatever assets seized, that can be dealt with. Earlier there used to be section 132 capital B, but now for the purpose of application, there is section 250. Then in case of such, 143(1) provision is not applicable, which is corresponding to section 270 of subsection 1. And approval from the additional CIT is to be taken before the issue of notice. Now this is that before that notice is issued for the purpose of making assessment of the block period, then approval from the additional CIT is to be taken before the issue of notice. And then block assessment proceeding has not to be the faceless, and assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner or joint commissioners can be the assessing officer. And prior approval of joint commissioner or additional commissioner has to be taken. My notes are lost. So the assessment will have to be made for the block period. The block period will be the preceding 6 years from the year in which the search was initiated, then up to the conclusion of search. Earlier in the old block assessment regime, the block period used to be till the initiation of search. But now in this change scheme of block assessment, now the block assessment period would cover the year in which the search has taken place up to the conclusion of search. So there may well be the possibility in the case of search that if the search has taken place, say at the fag end of March or February, and conclusion is made in the next year, then this entire year in which the search was initiated, that will also part of the block period, and till the conclusion of search in the next year, that will also part of the block period. Now the procedure of block assessment procedure under section 294, that notice is to be issued for filing the block return, and that will not give time more than 60 days, and then that will be treated as a return. And if that return has been filed beyond the time which has been given, that will not be treated as a valid return. A revision of such return is not permissible. And then undisclosed income, the assessing officer would calculate the undisclosed income. He will pass an order of assessment and determine the tax payable, and then the asset seized shall be dealt with. Yes. Now, the tax which is leviable will be leviable at the rate of 60%. Therefore, the several issues which arise, I would discuss the issues that section total undisclosed income is required to be computed. Total undisclosed income is required to be computed as a result of search by the assessing officer. And earlier, if you remember, in the old regime of section 158 BC, there used to be two parallel assessments, the assessment of the normal income and the assessment of undisclosed income. Now, under this scheme of block assessment, which is now there will be no two parallel assessments. The assessments will be for the block period as a whole, and total undisclosed income now is required to be computed, which would be the aggregate of undisclosed income returned and undisclosed income assessed. Now, if you remember, I'm sorry, my notes have lost. My notes have lost. Yes. Now, in case of block assessment, now kindly see any addition which will be made by the assessing officer. Any addition which will be made by the assessing officer will be in the nature of income from undisclosed source, and that is subject to tax. So the definition of undisclosed income which has been made under section, earlier under section 158 BC and now under section 301, that would cover any addition which is made by the assessing officer during the course of block assessment. Because the way undisclosed income has been defined under section 301, earlier the expressions used by the legislature was the false, but that false word now has given way to incorrect. So any addition which is made by the assessing officer in the block assessment, that will be in the nature of income on which the tax rate of 60% would be applicable. Now, on this income from this undisclosed income which would be assessed for the block period, that is subject to tax at the rate of 60%. No surcharge so far, because the surcharge has to be prescribed by Finance Act, but then there is no surcharge so far. And that tax rate of 60% is irrespective of the entity or irrespective of the year to which that income belongs. And it is of no consequence as to under which head that income is. All incomes under all heads are subject to tax at the rate of 60%. So if there is any, say for example, long-term capital gain, now which normally enjoys a concessional tax treatment, but then if that income is found as a result of search, then that income is also expected to be taxed at the rate of 60%. No concessional tax is applicable in case of any other, because the tax rate which has been prescribed is the tax as 60%, but of course there is no surcharge irrespective of the entity, irrespective of the year, or irrespective of the nature of income. Then there is no interest under section 423, 424, 425, corresponding to section 234A, B, C. Now there will not be any interest. Interest for not filing of return or delayed filing of return, now that is not leviable. Then yes. Now such income which would be assessed by the assessing officer during the course of such assessment, that would be subjected to tax at the rate of 60%. And so far there is no surcharge on it. But then if you remember in the earlier scheme of block assessment also, it used to be taxed at the rate of 60%, but then the surcharge was revived in the year 2001. So far there is no surcharge on it. It would be taxed at the rate of 60%. Then undisclosed income of any other person under section 295. Now earlier if you remember there used to be section 158 BD, that if an undisclosed income belonged to somebody else, that used to be assessed as income from undisclosed source. But now that section is section 295. And in section if you remember under the old scheme of block assessment, there used to be section 158 BD. Its corresponding provision is section 295, that if there is undisclosed income relating to some other person which is found as a result of search, then that other person will also be assessed under this chapter. And what would be the block period? Now that has been defined, that if the income of such person which is found as a result of search now belongs to the year of search or a year prior to that, then the block period in his case or the assessment of that income which has been so found will be restricted to that year. So suppose if the search has taken place today and undisclosed income is found relating to this part of the year, then immediately preceding year till the date when the search is concluded, till this time, that will be treated as a block period, and 1.5 year or one year plus years assessment will be done. But if income is found or undisclosed income is found as a result of search in respect of any year earlier, then in that situation, if it is relating to 1 year, then it's all right, the block period would be of that 1 year. But then if income is found is for relating to more than 1 year, then the entire block assessment will have to be made. But then this is quite unrealistic, but then the legislature is supreme, it has so made. Now block period, if there is only one specified person, specified persons means the searched person. If there is only one specified person, searched person, then the block period of such other person shall be the same as that for the specified person. But then if there is more than one specified person in whose case the search has taken place, then the block period of that person, I mean, in whose case the search has ended the last, then that period of search, that period of block period will be taken in case of that person. So, this section 295, which seeks to tax undisclosed income of any other person, now is in respect of this kind of a situation. Now, when the assessment is made, the procedure of assessment for the block assessment is identical, I mean, which is there in case of the normal assessment, the notices are issued, and then the informations are called, but then the income which can be assessed in the block assessment is only undisclosed income. But then the undisclosed income which has been defined under section 301 would cover everything except that those which are declared in the books of account, but then which are really of the explained nature. But even if you have declared something in the books of account as some income, ostensibly as income, but then its true nature is something else, then even that income can be treated as undisclosed income, and then it can be subject matter of the block assessment. And now various issues which arise in case of these changed. Now, what is the change made by the Finance Act 2026 relating to the tax rate from 60% to 30% on unexplained income? If you remember, under section 115 BBE, under 1961 Act, the tax rate applicable in respect of income from undisclosed sources 68, 69, etc. used to be 60%. And then that used to be loaded further by surcharge. 25% becomes 75%, then 3% cess. Then effective rate used to be 78%. Now, under 195 of Income Tax Act 2025, now the tax rate has been made 60 to 30%, but then of course surcharge and cess milakar effective rate comes to 39%. Now, in case, if you remember, in case of erstwhile provision of section 158 BD, there used to be the time limit or the block period in case of the other person, a person who has not been searched but with respect to whom the books of accounts, documents, money, bullion, jewelry, etc. has been found in place of search person, that used to be identical, akin, exactly the same as that of the searched person, barring certain decisions which came from Supreme Court later on in Singad and all, which said that in case there is no seized material or books of accounts or documents or assets, undisclosed asset is found, then those years will not be assessed as the block period of 153A. But in case of 2025 Act, now it has been made, section 295 subsection 2 clause C has been brought, now which says that the block period in case of other person to mean the tax year immediately preceding the tax year in the search was initiated, and to include the period of tax year from 1st April till conclusion of search where undisclosed income pertains to this period. So, in case of other person, section 295 of 2025 Act says that the block period in his case mean tax year immediately preceding the tax year in which the search was initiated, and to include the period of the tax year from 1st April till the conclusion of search where undisclosed income pertains to this period. So, if undisclosed income pertains to any one tax year out of the preceding 5 years, now this is important. So, if undisclosed income in case of other person relates to any tax year prior to the tax year in which the search has taken place, then that tax year alone will be the block period. But then if it is more than 1 year to which that undisclosed income found as a result of search belongs, then the entire period of 6 plus, that will be the period of the block period. So it means that if undisclosed income pertains to more than single tax year, then block period of a specified person would be the block period of other person. So whatever the block period in case of the searched person is there, then in that case that period will be. So if the undisclosed income pertains to 1 year, then that 1 year alone will be the block period. But that if undisclosed income found as a result of search pertains to 2 years, then the entire block period of the searched person, that will be the block period in case of the other person. Can an authorized officer exercise the power to issue summon during the course of search action? If you remember, under old section 132 subsection 4, now during the course of search, the authorized officers could have recorded the statement of any person who was found in possession of any money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing. So 132(4) of the old act empowers authorized officer to record a statement of any person who is at that place of search is in possession of assets or books. Now he can issue notice under section 130, he could have issued notice under section 131(1)(a) before the commencement of search. But in 247 also the provisions are identical, nothing has changed. So if authorized officer can exercise the powers to record a statement even without issuing a summon to the person in whose case the search has taken place, and then can record a statement. Now a question comes, whether there is any benefit to the searched person by making a declaration of undisclosed income during the search proceeding. Declaration of undisclosed income now can be made in the return which is filed by a searched person under section 294(1)(a). And any SSE who has been searched can make declaration of undisclosed income in the search return under section 294(1)(a). There is, therefore, that income which he declares, now that will suffer the tax at the rate of 60%. Now, with no consequences in terms of penalty, because section 298 says that income which you have declared as undisclosed income is return of income. Now, on that there will not be any penalty, and penalties are specified under section 444(1), which is corresponding to section 271 AAD1. There will not be any penalty corresponding to section 269 SS, section 269 ST, and section 269T. And the section is section 450, 451, and 453 of 2025 Act. So, during the course of search proceeding now, if you remember in old regime, now it was necessary for you to claim immunity from the levy of penalty that you declare during the course of search in your statement which you make under section 132(4). But now it is not necessary that you make surrender or declarations during the course of search. But then if you make declarations in the return which you will file in time post search when notice is issued to you under section 294, then that will give you immunity in the sense that only tax at the rate of 60% will be taken. So therefore, there is no advantage henceforth in making declarations at the time of search. You can appraise the entire seized material, you can appraise the entire gamut of evidences which have gone against you, then you can take a conscious call till the time there is a time for filing of return under section 294, but of course you have to file return in time. In case the return is not filed in time, then there is a problem. Now the issue comes whether adverse material which is found after the search may also be considered in the block assessment. So if you remember in the old scheme, the adverse material found during the course of search now could alone be used for the purpose of making the block assessment or 153A assessment. But then now the provisions which have been made under the new scheme of assessment for the block period, that block period may be block assessment may be made based upon the information material which has been gathered during the course of search, survey or requisition, and also based upon the material or information as are available with the assessing officer come to his notice during the course of the block assessment proceeding. So the earlier, the scope of making additions in case of the block assessment used to be quite contrived, quite limited. But now, the way the sections, because that is how the legislature gains experience. Earlier, if you remember, old time my seniors, my contemporaries would recall that many block assessment additions used to be deleted on the ground that those additions were not based upon the material found as a result of search. And those were based upon the material which has been detected by the assessing officers later on or by the department later on. But now, the way that section 293 subsection 4 has been worded, the scope of making assessments with respect to the seized material, search material or dehorsed search material, now that has been widened, and therefore the additions can be made not only so we can make now the assessment can be made based upon the material, which has come to in possession of the assessing officer during the course of post-search proceedings also, post-search investigations also, and therefore the earlier argument which used to be available that no addition can be made in respect of any material or evidence which has not been found as a result of such, now that may not be available in case that evidence has come into possession of the assessing officer, even the post-search proceedings. So friends, now we shall start the question answer session. If there are questions, then kindly do ask, and I would be pleased. I am today, because of this is a technology probably has played truant to me today, and the things have gone awry.
Now, from the floor, if any question is there. So, okay, let me put some questions, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, what about this earlier period when the searches took place and the digital documents were there? Now, the department has to issue a certificate. Whether this, after this amendment, this new act also, that certificate the department has to take, or now because of they have incorporated all these digital informations within the definition of what is the consequence?
No, in fact, so far as the evidentiary value of the digital evidence is concerned, now for that they have to give a certificate under section 65, the Indian evidence. That provision would continue. Therefore, there is no change insofar as because of the change in phraseology under the new law.
Sir, question is that earlier the books of accounts were seized, that time no certificate were taken. Now when they have covered so many things, computer, devices, still they have to take the certificate.
Yes, that 65B of Indian Evidence Act certificate, that is must in case of the secondary evidence. In case of secondary evidence. But then if it is a primary evidence, then it's all right.
Sir, undisclosed income has been widened to include even incorrect claims.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, sir, incorrect claims in the block period would become
Undisclosed income, yes.
Whereas the Supreme Court in the case of Price Waterhouse has held that making a claim which is not allowed and all facts are disclosed would not amount to concealment even.
No,
So
that was...
therefore, is it not contradictory to
Yes,
the...
in fact, sir, that was in the context of section 270(11)(c).
11C,
So,
yeah.
sir, the thrust of jurisprudence in case of penalty is different. In case of assessment is different.
No, with great respect, sir, making a claim which is not allowed, how it should be, why it should be treated as an undisclosed income? I mean, if I have disclosed all the facts and the all along under 270.
So one can challenge this definition of undisclosed income.
That is what I am saying.
On the constitutional parameters, but then so long as the definition is intact, then the validity of your this argument will have to be just based upon
Sir,
that only.
Sir, the concept of mens rea, then as you said earlier, it was making a false claim.
Yes.
Making of false claim means intention. There
Yes,
must be an
yes.
element of intention. Otherwise, where is the question? If
Sir,
I made a wrong
Sir,
claim,
so far as the legislature is concerned, legislature has deliberately replaced that word by incorrect. Therefore, that incorrect, of course, is something which is far more beyond the falsity.
I think this will lead to unwarranted litigation and even
Yes,
matters
unless somebody challenges the constitutional bias.
validity.
Yes, yes. हाँ, प्राण होगा sir. Previous search assessment 153A or 150 old 158 BC? 153A.
There is always a concept of incriminating material. There is law is almost settled that without incriminating material, no addition can be made in case of search. Number one. Number two, previously there was a concept of abated and unabated assessment.
There were concept of?
Abated or non-abated assessment.
Yes, yes.
Because in the new regime, on the date of search, some assessments have already been completed. Then whether those completed assessment can again be reopened under the block assessment?
No,
and
they
additional
can be, but then,
disallowances?
but of course, then the addition which can be made must be of undisclosed nature. Now, mere difference of opinion alone per se cannot brand that income as undisclosed income. So, to that extent, the situation remains the same, that it has to be undisclosed income, and undisclosed income has come to be defined.
So there must be incriminating material. No? On that basis, only undisclosed income.
Of course.
There must be some unearthing of some material.
Yes.
of such a section.
Yes. That is there. That is embedded here. So there is no review of past assessments unless there is some material suggesting some undisclosed income.
So in the computation of undisclosed income, which had been suggested in the new regime, then assessment which has been completed, income has been disclosed, that has to be deducted or what? How?
No, this assessment will be only income of undisclosed income. Assessment of undisclosed income. If you remember initially when from 1/9/2024 this section was brought, they have negatively defined. But now after retrospective amendment in 2025 Act, they have said we will compute only undisclosed income in block assessment. So earlier there used to be negative expressions, but now there is a positive expression. That is a different thing, that positive expression is also of negative nature, that we have to compute of undisclosed income.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
During past block assessment scheme,
Pardon, sir?
past block assessment scheme,
Earlier one.
earlier,
Okay.
what used to happen, there was no time limit for the furnishing of written minimum time limit. Maximum was that time 45 days or 60 days, and in this scheme also 60 days, but no minimum time. So even what does happen, what they do, they give any time. It may be 15 days, 7 days, 30 days, 15 days like this. Suppose in a notice a time limit is given for 30 days.
Now.
Now. And return is filed beyond 30 days, but before 60 days.
No, sir, 60 days is the maximum.
It will be invalid return or it will
No, it will be invalid return.
But the AO, in the earlier scheme, the AO used to say that yes,
So you can make a request to assessing officer.
But is it no mention in that?
No, there may not be mention. This is inherent power. In any judicial or quasi-judicial authority, you will have to concede that there are certain inherent powers. If the law says that up to 60 days, then it means that he can allow you time up to 60 days. So if initially he has given you 30 days, you can make a request, and in case he finds your request is plausible, then he can extend the time up to 60 days, but that is the maximum time which can be allowed to you.
But for natural justice, minimum time should also be prescribed in that. Otherwise, AO gives only 7 days time, 10 days time. That is also not justified. At least 45 days minimum or 60 days maximum. It should be in the law.
That is there, but then here they have kept maximum period of 60 days. They have kept it. So, sir, the law is that
giving
if
advantage to the assessing officer for giving the 15 days time only.
no, he can give, but then you can always make a request, and in case he rejects your request, then you can always make a case that his action was arbitrary, not a bona fide one, and in that case, the higher writ court may substitute and may say that this action, by not extending the time, is not in accordance with law. It's always open before the writ court because their powers are quite wide. Sir. Pardon?
In the case of 148, there is already amendment in this year budget. Minimum 30 days time has been given.
Yes,
No.
but I mean, we cannot say that minimum 30 days has been given there. If you challenge the constitutional wires of 158 BC now, whatever section is, section 294 is there, and then you put all these arguments before the constitutional court, then constitutional court relaxes, that is a different matter. Otherwise, whatever the statute says, that has to be scrupulously followed. Pardon?
So what happens if the return is not filed?
In similar situations, courts and tribunals have allowed this, if the maximum period allowed is up to 60 days, and if the AOE is allowing a lesser period as suggested by him, courts and tribunals have favored
So the
SLC.
courts can allow, but subject to courts finding plausibility in your explanations. Now, courts may not allow it merely because you're asking, then you have to give some justification for that. And if the courts are impressed with the justifications, the courts can say, why not 60 days, which is the maximum statutory allowable period. Sir, अब ये तो sir litigation तो, I mean, is there because of litigation is there, we are here.
Now I request.
Thank you, thank you. I'm so sorry because my notes got lost and so did I. I'm so sorry. And but then
So good afternoon, everyone. So we have come to the close to pre-lunch session. So on behalf of the BBD Bar Association, I would extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed session chairman, Ashoke sir, past president of the association, for his invaluable guidance and for so ably chairing this session. I am also deeply thankful to our distinguished guest speaker, CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta sir, for his extremely enlightening and practical insights on search and seizure. We are equally grateful to our guest, Chandrashekhar sir, for gracing this session and for his presence and enriching address. My sincere thanks to our Master of Ceremony, CA Manish Gadia ji, for conducting the proceedings so seamlessly. Now, I would like to request Mr. Viraj Popat, CA Viraj Popat, to come forward and come to the dais and offer a memento to Ashok ji. I would request Nilima Joshi ma'am to kindly come to the dais and offer a memento to Rakesh sir.